Alrighty, so well, there's definitely some news that is related to Decision Day 2022. There was a big news that came out of MLS today that I have to talk about and have to make a single video. And that, of course, is talk about the League Cup 2023 structure. Now, for those of you that don't know what the League Cup is, this is a competition that happened a couple of years ago. And back then, it was kind of like a mini tournament where you have selective MLS team facing against the Liga MX's opponent, and whoever wins that will wins the League Cup tournament. And back then, I didn't really take this competition seriously because I feel like that was just kind of like a glorified cash cow kind of tournament, and that when you win the League Cup, you don't really win anything other than the fact that you of course win a trophy. But ever since they announced that they're going to make this a bigger competition and make a competition where pretty much every single team is going to participate in MLS and Liga MX, then yeah, it definitely opened up my eyes a little bit and definitely opened a lot of people's eyes about this competition. Now, do I still think with how the structure is put out, which it looks like pretty much every single game is going to be taking place in the US and in Canada, and MLS Stadium is considered a cash cow? Maybe. But I think one of the things that I like about the structure that it has is that it really kind of gives me MLS's back tournament vibe. And you know how much I love the MLS's back tournament and how I kind of wish that we have another edition of it, but I can understand why that is not the case because I don't think any MLS team would love to have like a mid-season tournament. And the MLS back tournament was brought because of all the chaos that was happening in the 2020 pandemic year. But this is probably the closest to be because the structure of this tournament is very similar to the MLS's back tournament, and that the other thing that I think you could say that maybe teams will take this seriously is because there's going to be CCL spot that is up for grabs here. But whether if you like this competition or not, that's another discussion, and maybe I'll make a video about that. But today we're going to talk about the structure of this tournament. Now, the dates that this tournament is going to happen is July 21st all the way to August 19th. And what's interesting during those times is that there's going to be no MLS and Liga MX game that is going to be happening during that time, which means that I'm basically forced to have to talk about this competition because in order for me to keep pumping you guys MLS content on my channel, I have to of course talk about these games, which means I'll probably do previews and reviews talking about these games, and maybe even do prediction video as this tournament is about to begin. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that there's going to be no games that's going to be taking place during tournament. But what also is going to be interesting is that how is this going to affect the schedule next season? I mean, I know there is definitely a hint that the start of next season is going to be in the last week of February. But when is it going to end? Like, is it going to end like October like what we do this year? Or is it going to end like November as it has been the case before they kind of shortened the season to October? Because if they decide to do the same thing next year where it ends in October and starts in February, oh boy, fixture congestion is going to be a huge problem next season, because add to the fact that there's League Cup, and then what if there's teams that participate in CCL? There is just going to be so much fixture congestion, and we know that already when you have teams that participate in CCL and in MLS, how much that has really created problems with the fact that these teams they're just completely mentally exhausted, and it cripples the team after that. So is there going to be a sense that maybe MLS might be thinking about going back to what they usually do, which is start the season in February or in March and end it in November? Or is there going to be certain rules that talks about the roster and expanding the roster and kind of maybe revise the current CBA that we're currently in? Because I can't see how next season, if they are going to kind of have the same start of the season and same end date, I can't tell you how that is going to create nightmares in terms of fixture congestion, and a lot of teams are going to be very angry about this because playing free games in 7 days is going to be more of a common factor, and we know a lot of teams did not like it when the COVID season was happening, but that was mainly because of the fact that during the COVID season we had to have that shortened season, and we had to have that in order to get the season finished at the right time. Now, in terms of the format of this League Cup, again, it's very similar to the MLS's back tournament, if not kind of identical in terms of it. And also, it's kind of a World Cup tournament style where you have a group stage and then you have the knockout round. there's going to be 4 region that is going to be in terms of the group stage of the East, West, South, and Central kind of region. And I think that is right for them to decide to do that, because again, can you imagine the nightmare of travel if you have like a certain group that you don't even divide by geographically, and you could have a case where, let's say, if a New England play against Club America, you know how long that trip is going to be? That is going to be a nightmare trip. Or even at worst, what if you in the same group you have New England and the Galaxy or LAFC in the same group? Like, that is going to be a long travel for team that have to go to Boston all the way to LA. So it makes sense why they decided to divide it in region, and that it definitely helped the problem in terms of traveling, especially with the way that I think these group stage game, like the World Cup, is going to be playing pretty much every game in a 3-day span. Now, the other interesting thing about the League Cup is that there's going to be no ties in the League Cup. And what that basically means is that if the game remains tie after 90 minutes, it'll go straight to a PK shootout. And the winner of the PK shootout will get 3 points. And the loser, of course, will receive a point. So this is very similar to how MLS Next Pro works, where MLS Next Pro introduced this rule where, if the games remain tie after 90 minutes, it's not going to be end in a time. It's going to go to a PK shootout, although both team, of course, will get a point, and the winner, of course of the PK shootout in the MLS Next Pro will get 2 points. Here, though, they get 3 points instead, and you can even say that this is very similar to hockey, where, in the NHL, if the game remains tie after 3 periods, they go to a 5-minute overtime period, but at least both team, of course, will get a point, and then the winner, whether it's in the overtime period or in a shootout, they of course would get 2 points here. So, and I kind of like the fact that they decided to do that, because again, I think this is brought to the idea that you want to make sure you have a winner after 90 minutes. I mean, everybody want to see a group stage game where teams can win, but also I think this could be a use for teams to maybe be a little bit more give more sense of urgency, where you just simply cannot play for a tie and expect you can potentially move on into the next round. Now, the other thing that is interesting about the structure, and this is where it gets to the part where I talk about how maybe this tournament is a little bit glorified and kind of becoming a bit of a cash cow. It's only host at MLS Stadium, and I know a lot of people don't like it, myself included. I don't like the fact that this is only host at MLS Stadium. I mean, I understand. Yes, when you play games at MLS Stadium, you're going to get the maximum profit. Like, compared to this, than playing games in Mexico, yeah, it makes sense why, in terms of the revenue and the profit standpoint, where you want to host only at MLS Stadium. But in terms of, if you want to make this tournament kind of authentic, and you want to give chances for the Mexican fans down in Mexico to also experience this competition, because I know for a fact that whenever MLS team play against Liga MX team down in Mexico in CCL, boy, those stands are packed. Like, you can see those fans are really into it, and I just feel like that's a huge missed opportunity for them to do so. But like I said, I think this is a lot to do with revenue sake, and that, again, this is why it's kind of a bit of a cash cow, with the way that, yeah, it just feels like whoever comes out of this tournament, they want to maximize the revenue, and the best way to do it is just single-handedly host all the games at MLS Stadium, with 77 of them being played throughout the U.S. and Canada. Now, for those of you who wonder, well, what happened if there's an all-Liga MX kind of affair? Well, if there's an all-Liga MX affair, that may be a good scenario if you're looking at this tournament in terms of revenue part, because that's going to be playing at an MLS Stadium, and you better believe those games are going to be more expensive than what if you have like an MLS versus Liga MX game, because I've seen before when you have Liga MX friendly that is taking place here in the US. I mean, I've seen it play at PayPal Park a couple of times. They are some of the most expensive tickets to get, and they're like twice as expensive as to go to a Quakes game. So you better believe that. Again, if you want to go back to the revenue point, I'm pretty sure whoever comes out of this tournament are hoping there's going to be a lot of those, so they can charge people extra in order to go to these games. Now, the other interesting thing about the League Cup in terms of structure is that there's going to be buys. There's going to be 2 teams that actually will not have to play in the group stage and will automatically advance to the knockout stage. And for the MLS side, it's going to be the MLS Cup champion. So whoever wins the MLS Cup Cup will go straight to the round of 32, which maybe that gives a little bit but more of an added factor of why you want to win MLS Cup this season, not only qualify for CCL next year, but also go directly to the round of 32. Now, in terms of the Liga, the MX size, well, basically whoever is gonna win the Liga MX title in the Apertura and Clausura season, and usually it's basically between two different teams. And if that is the case, then basically the way to decide who is gonna get that spot is basically by the combining point of the Apertura and Clausura season, and that whoever, of course, was the champions of both of those seasons, and whoever has the most point out of both of those combined seasons will go to the round of 32. Now, in terms of group assignment and how the draw is going to display, well, MLS team that is ranked 2 all the way down to 16 in the overall standings will be drawn first in the group, followed by Liga MX team ranked 2 through 16 based on the combination of both the Clausuras and Apertura seasons will be drawn next, and then the remaining 13 teams in the overall standing and the 2 Liga MX club are going to be drawn and divided geographically. I mean, that kind of makes sense in a way where you want to put seeded team, and you want to kind of maybe create a little bit of a diversity in terms of the tournament. You don't want to create like so many group of depth and maybe some favorites that can get into the next round, or if you create too many easy group where some of these teams might take advantage of it and move on to the next round. Although, like it is the case with every single tournament, I'm pretty sure when they do draw the group, I'm definitely going to talk about how there's going to be groups that I think is going to be pretty easy for some teams to be in, and there's going to be some group that people are not going to be happy, and that they're going to say that, oh great, my team is now in the group of death. Now, speaking of the group stage, each club will be playing a minimum of 2 matches with the top 2 teams events, as it is the case pretty much in a World Cup / MLS's back tournament stake. Now, the tiebreaker, they still haven't determined how the tiebreaker is going to go. And for me, I feel like they probably is going to go with the same tiebreaker like they did in the MLS's back tournament or in the World Cup tournament, where maybe they'll go goal differential as the first tiebreaker, and then they go to wins and maybe go to head-to-head matchup. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see how the tiebreaker is going to be as we head into the knockout rounds. And speaking of the knockout round, it's going to be single elimination in terms of the knockout round. Now, one thing that when I did read the article talk about the structure of this League Cup, and I'll also leave a link in the description below for this article that's released on the league website in terms of the structure, is that they didn't mention how the knockout round in terms of what happened if the game does remain tied after 90 minutes. Do they just go straight to a PK shootout, or they do a World Cup style where they just go to extra time, and then if the game remains tied, they'll go to a PK shootout? Or are they going to do the same thing they did in the MLS's back tournament, where I remember in the MLS's back tournament, if a game remained tied after 90 minutes, they go straight to a PK shootout, and that's only until it gets to the final. If it gets to the final, if it remains tied after their 90 minutes, they'll go to extra time, and then they go to a PK shootout. And knowing the fact that another thing that I think I forgot to mention is that this is actually a competition that is sponsored and created by sponsor and also affiliate with CONCACAF. So with the way how this is, I think they're gonna maybe make it similar to what they did in CCL, which is for all these games that is not in the final, they're going to have the game go straight to a PK shootout if the game remains tied after 90 minutes, and then in the final, that's when they of course go to extra time and then go to PK shootout, and just kind of like a traditional kind of tournament game we see in the World Cup, or even in a tournament wise kind of competition. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna set it up in terms of single game elimination. But in terms of rewards, and this is the point where I talk about what's the point of this tournament, and maybe this is the part where maybe you can decide whether or not if this is indeed a glorified tournament, or the fact that maybe teams will definitely take this seriously. But obviously the tournament reward is that there's going to be 3 spots up for grabs in this tournament overall that goes to CCL. The team that of course finished third will be qualified for CCL. Yes, there is going to be a third place match, and even though I know some people don't like the third place match, this one, it definitely had some stake at it, because whoever finished third in this tournament, they will be able to qualify for CCL, and then of course the 2 finalists will automatically qualify for CCL. But the winner of this competition will go straight to the round of 16 and go straight to the knockout match. And I think that maybe gives like a lot of motivation for a lot of these teams to win it, because if you win this competition, you don't even have to worry about the group stage. You can go straight to the round of 16, and that means that it's pretty much like the traditional CCL kind of format, where you go in the round of 16 and you only need to win like I believe 4 games or 3 games to make it, or well, 3 games for CCL final, and then 4 games to of course win the actual competition. And that, yeah, I think that maybe it could be a factor for teams to take this seriously. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not if teams are going to take this seriously or not. And also in terms of the broadcast, all these games of course will be broadcast on Apple TV. That, I mean, I talked about this before when I talked about the Apple TV deal that MLS signed a couple of months ago. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it is, and I'm going to be interested to see how this first ever tournament is going to look like. Now, obviously, I'm also hoping to attend some of these games, especially when the Quakes do play in this competition. I'll attend some of these games at PayPal Park, or maybe travel around the country to attend some of these games, because like I said, whether you like it or not, it's pretty much a mid-season tournament that both MLS and Liga MX have been thinking about to do for a long time, and that they already done it before a couple of years ago, but now they're basically massifying in a way where, yeah, now this is basically truly a mid-season tournament, and I'm interested to see how this is going to be, and also kind of the feedback of this, because anytime when you have a new tournament, you're going to get some mixed reaction. You're going to get some people that likes it, you're going to get some people that don't like it. I remember when the MLS is Back tournament that was took place, some people like it, some people don't, and overall, once the tournament is over, there was a lot of positive. A lot of people were very happy with the tournament, and a lot of people want something similar to that in the future. Well, we're basically getting that now. Only different is this is basically between MLS team and Liga MX team for the most part in this competition. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this structure? And also let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this tournament? Do you like it? Do you think it's a glorified tournament that is simply used so that they can earn maximum revenue and it's a cash cow tournament? Or do you think this is actually a tournament that could be good for both of these leagues, and also a tournament that a lot MLS team is going to take very serious if they want to go to the CONCACAF Champions League? But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.